Chris, what is our fifth main topic today?
This is from Aryan B. Hey there, John and crew. Hope you're all well. News has dropped that Toby Emmerich is stepping down as the WB Group chairman and will be replaced by Micheal DeLuca and Pam Abdy as the heads of the film division. Has the axe of Zaz struck again? Was Emmerich always doomed to be let go? And how important is this for WB and its subsequent films? Thanks for bringing on the filthy.
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And yeah, look, a lot of times when we get into stories about a studio executive and, whatever, that's not this, those aren't sexy stories, right? Because we want to hear about the movie stars. We want to hear about whatever. And I get that. But you also got to understand that there is none of that without the executives behind them setting the direction and setting the tone. And this is simply the biggest move that's been made in all of the swinging of the axe of Zaslav. There has been no bigger move yet than this one. Toby Emmerich is out as the head of the movie division of Warner Brothers. Now, they're saying he exited and he left, and I'm sure to a degree that is true. Probably saying, we're going to make you the concession stand guy now. Okay, well, then I'm leaving.
He got a sweet production deal.
Oh, and yeah, he did. He got a sweet production deal, and he got a sweet exiting package as well, as a matter of fact. But we are now talking about the head guy of that movie division is now gone. And they went out and got some really good experienced MGM people to step in for now. But what's really interesting is while they're heading up the movie division, it doesn't look like they're going to be heading up the DC division, which they are going to at least temporarily oversee for now. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Variety, who wrote the following. Under newly minted CEO David Zaslav, the company was rechristened Warner Brothers Discovery with an eye towards bolstering its in-house streaming service, HBO Max, and complementing that content with Discovery's reality programming. Emmerich's departure raises questions about the future of several key lieutenants at the studio, many who have served at his side for decades. Among those whose future is murky is DC Films chief Walter Hamada, who has been credited with stabilizing the cinematic output at the division and bringing some quality control to a company that had suffered several critical failures such as Suicide Squad and Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. And that again comes to us from the folks over at Variety. So listen, one of the things that happens, like often in sports, and I know people go a little crazy when I bring in sports analogies, but this applies. Like when a team gets a brand new general manager, the coaches start looking for new jobs because they know a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times when a new general manager comes in, they're going to want to bring in their own people. They're going to want to bring in the people they know, the people they trust, the people they know they can count on. When a brand new coach shows up at a place, the assistant coaches know maybe it's time to start sending out our resumes because a coach will want to come with his own assistants, his own thing. I know that when I've changed companies before, I've wanted to bring along people that I know, trust, and I know I can work with, right? That's happened there too. That's one of the reasons, Ray is here and Jonathan's here and Rob's here. And, Chris, I got lucky and I just found Chris. But I mean, that's generally happens. So you got to know if you're a lower level executive in any of these movie divisions, you've got to know that your job may be in trouble. Walter Hamada is interesting. The Walter Hamada situation is interesting because they brought him in to be the DC Films head, right? But this is the biggest mistake any leadership can ever do. Never give responsibility without giving authority. And that's always been the biggest thing because while Walter Hamada had that title, he was never given the authority to really do all the things he wanted to do. Yeah, he's been credited as stabilizing it when it looked like DC was spinning out of control and all that kind of stuff. But the reality was he was put on a committee and he wasn't even the head of the committee. And the worst thing you can do, I'll just give you an example, like with Ray, a small thing, right? There's a few things I want Ray to be responsible for. And he'll come to me, hey, can I do this? I'm like, Ray, you do it. If you think you need it for the job and you think this is going to help our company, go it. I gave you Ray's got a company card. I don't know how smart that is of me, but he's got a company bank card. So I say, Ray,
really?
Ray has the company.
Can we talk on some show?
Ray's got a company bank card because look, if you need something, you have the authority, you go and make those decisions, go and do it. You cannot give somebody the responsibility of accomplishing something without also giving them the authority to accomplish it, right? I think this can go one of two ways. I think they may either promote Walter Hamada to be the head of this new DC division and say, look, we never really had a chance, nobody really had a chance to see what you can really do with it because you were never fully given the reins. Let's see what happens when you're fully given the reins. It's a good picture of him with Jason Momoa there. What happens when you are fully given the reins? Or they may say, Zaslav may say, I'm still looking for my real person who's going to be in that role. So Walter, you kind of oversee things from now, but I've decided I'm going to bring in new talent. It may take 6 months, it may take a year, whatever. I right now feel like it's a 50-50 coin flip. And by the way, I think Alan Horn is probably going to have a lot of input as to who's going to head up the whole DC division there. So, and honestly, right now, I think either is a good choice. I think it would be a perfectly sound decision to promote up Walter Hamada and say, let's really see what you can do when you've got the reins. Or I think it'd be a perfectly reasonable decision to say, new leadership needs to bring in new people. So I think either would be fine. It's going to be interesting to see which way they go. Guys, we want to take just a minute and thank the sponsor of this video, Masterclass. Masterclass is offering classes on a wide variety of topics, like all taught by world-class masters at the absolute tops of their field. Each class is broken down out into individual video lessons, usually like around 10 minutes or so long, and members can explore at their own pace. And each class is supported by downloadable materials, lessons, recipes, or more that you can all find at masterclass.com. For example, are you into streaming? Well, you can take the Building Your Streaming class taught by ninjas so you can sharpen up on your streaming skills. Or if you're interested in independent filmmaking, take independent filmmaking from Academy Award winner Spike Lee. You want to get classes on how to direct? How about from Ron Howard? The very first one I personally looked up and got into was Business Leadership by the great Big Papa Iger, Bob Iger himself. And I was absolutely enthralled with it. I love every single minute of this stuff. If any of those apply to you, you need to try Masterclass. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Get unlimited access to every Masterclass. And as a John Campea Show viewer, you get 15% off an annual membership. Go to masterclass.com/Campea. Once again, to get 15% off your annual membership, go to masterclass.com/Campea. Rob, you hear about this, and we're kind of glossing over the fact Toby Emmerich's gone, to which some people in the industry are singing ding dong, the witch is dead. Some people are lamenting that he's gone. And let's not pretend that Toby Emmerich hasn't had some major successes in this business. He totally has.
Yep.
But he's gone now. David Zaslav is like recreating this thing in his image. What do you think about Toby Emmerich? What's going to happen with DC here? How do you see it?
Well, what's really interesting is Toby Emmerich and Mike DeLuca are both from the same place. They're both from New Line.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating to me. From what I understand, and I talked to a high-ranking friend of ours who has many different successes in this business, one of the probably most successful people I know, who is not a fan of Toby Emmerich, and flat out told me that Micheal DeLuca and Pam Abdy are people that love movies. And I met Mike DeLuca, the first movie I ever worked on when I was a lowly PA on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Mike DeLuca was the executive from New Line on that movie.
Oh, wow.
And I met him like at 3:00 in the morning in the production office when we were shooting at night. And we actually had a conversation about, I don't know how we had this conversation about On Her Majesty's Secret Service, about James Bond movies. I don't know. But that was the only time I ever met Mike DeLuca. And he actually wrote John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. He wrote the screenplay for that. So, and I think that Mike DeLuca is somebody that was hired. They brought him over from MGM. He was running the current incarnation of MGM. I think this was a great hire. David Zaslav made this. He's talking to everybody. He's making moves that are telling the industry that, bruh, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and he's got a partner. It's not just.
Yes, and he has a partner in Pam Abdy. So I think this is a really great choice. I think Warner Brothers now has people in charge, at least of their motion picture division, or this section of their motion picture division, where they're going to make movies because they love making movies. And look, I can tell you, in 1989, Mike DeLuca loved making movies, and I'm sure he loves making movies even more now that he's going to be heading up Warner Brothers. I think it's a great hire. And remember, it was Toby Emmerich who said, let's do day and date releases on HBO Max.
There are different reports, because I was reading another report in the Hollywood Reporter today that said he actually bristled against Jason Kilar on that. So I've heard mixed. I've heard some people say it was his idea. I've heard several other people say he actually fought against it. So I don't know.
Yeah,
what
I
the
mean, I
actual
think it's
truth is.
because I had heard that he had gone over there.
I had heard that too.
And you know, and the thing was, because he's been trying to ingratiate himself to get into the streaming business, which I totally understand.
He was trying to ingratiate himself to get in good with the AT&T people when they still own things,
yes,
right?
Yes, and I just think that, look, I get it. In the motion picture business, you're either somebody that loves making movies or you love being in the studio business.
Right.
You know, not everybody's like Bob Evans. Let me tell you, maybe. But
We're good, Bubby.
yeah,
We're good.
I mean,
By the way, the word Bubby needs to be used a lot more. And I now fall in love with that word.
Please, somebody make The Kid Stays in the Picture with Matthew Good as Bob Evans. Just make his entire tenure at Paramount. But I think that we're all in good hands. Now, whether Walter Hamada will stay,
I was going to say, what do you think happens now with their DC? Zaslav wants to make DC its own division, give it its own head. What do you think is going to happen there?
when I've seen Hamada speak, and I saw him, I want to say it was at DC Fandom.
I remember that, yeah.
He was so articulate. It was on his game. And he also testified at the Amber Heard trial.
Yeah.
Listening to him speak, but listening to that guy speak, he is one smart dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Walter Hamada fan. I've never met him, but I would think that losing him would be a blow to the studio. And like you said, he wasn't given the authority. It wouldn't surprise me if he's retained and they put him at the top and make him in charge.
Let me ask you this. So David Zaslav gives you a call and he says, I'm talking to
You mean
everybody.
another call?
Yeah, another call. I'm talking to everybody. I might as well talk to you. Should we get brand new talent to head up our DC division? We'll go outside the company, or should we give Hamada a interim 1-year gig to run it to see what he can do? What would you advise David Zaslav to do?
Hamada all the way. I mean, remember, under his tenure, we saw Aquaman, we saw Joker, we've seen the entire slate that's coming out. They love The Flash. You've got Aquaman 2 coming out. You've got Black Adam finally coming out. And I think that this is a slate that Walter Hamada was involved with. You've got movies coming out the next year. Let's see how he does. And I'd give him a 2-year contract, so allow those movies to come out and then give him a year on that. Bet on him. I mean, just hearing him speak, he's one smart MFer, man.
Yeah, and what a lot of fans should like is he actually knows this world very well. He's very passionate about it.
Plus, Walter Hamada is just a cool name. I want to see continue.
Yeah.
I just want to see. I just want to say it. I want to see his name in the trades.
Anyway, Chris, you're hearing about this. Number one, the big overall shakeup. Toby Emmerich is out, which is weird to think about Warner Brothers. I mean, what's it been, about a dozen years he's been over there?
Yeah, and then remember, he was at New Line during when they made Lord of the Rings, and he was there for a long time.
Like I said, he's got some good things on his resume, but he's out now. He's gone. We got new leadership. It looks like DC is going to be christened as its own thing. What stands out to you the most here?
I mean, it's a big old regime change, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
And it feels like Zaslav is just building his Avengers. He is assembling. Oh, I've almost got you twice today.
Rob
with
nearly
the
spit
takes.
out his drink. Rob was
That's
sipping his
almost-
drink.
I was like, he's the Nick Fury. He just
is.
shows up to talk to people. I'm here to talk to you. He talks to Tony Stark. He goes,
Yeah. And I think that's smart. Have a whole room filled of people who know different aspects of the movie industry, who know different aspects of your IP, and could really bring different perspectives to everything you're working on. I mean, Pam Abdy is a fantastic producer. She produced one of the most important films to my adolescence, Garden State. Loved that movie so much. And so I think it's really, really interesting to have her and Micheal on there. They're both, the writing seemed to be on the wall too, because they left MGM before that Amazon merger came through too. So it seems like this has all been something in the works for a while. I think he's assembling an A-team. And I think too that Walter Hamada will still be a part of that as well.
I still think it's 50-50. I think, I see the wisdom behind both. Like, hey, look, Zaslav may just want to go fresh start. Alan Horn, who's an executive you got your eye on? Blah, let's put them in. I can also see, hey, some good changes happened once Hamada came in. Let's give, like you were saying, Rob, let's give him that opportunity
and see where his slate goes.
and see where it goes.
Some folks in the chat too are saying if Hamada's out, then shouldn't Disney poach him?
I mean, listen, I'll tell you right now, we've heard Kevin Feige talk about Walter Hamada
Yep.
before. Like, yeah, I guarantee you, if Hamada's out, he ain't going to be unemployed for long.
Yeah.
And I would not be surprised at all to see his name start being attached as executive producer on a number of Marvel projects.
Or if he doesn't go to Marvel, I could see him being poached by Paramount. Because
Yeah.
Paramount,
Yeah.
people don't sleep on Paramount, everybody. They're having a good year this
they
year.
are
Yeah, they
having
are.
an amazing.
Every
and
movie
by the
they
way,
put out has made money.
He's done
Theatrically.
good business with Universal. He's done some really good things with Universal. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this whole thing? I mean, this big corporate shakeup with the head of Warner Brothers Pictures is now out. We got new people coming in. DC's going to be eventually at some point here christened as its own complete division with its own head. Will it be Walter Hamada? Will it be somebody else entirely? Will Alan Horn decide, screw it, I'll do it myself. I'll go back to my retirement for a fourth time later. I mean,
Getting his gauntlet out of the.
yeah, grabbing his gauntlet, pulling out his old cover of Karate Magazine. And yes, Alan, I almost said Alan Shore. That's a different thing. Alan Shore.
That's the
is going to be-
practice.
Alan Horn is going to, he's going to pull out he was on the cover of Karate Magazine twice. He's a legit black belt. Anyway, guys, what do you think is going to happen here? Whatever you think, jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.